One thing I know too much about is joke theft, and that's because in law school I did a research paper where I interviewed over 40 comedians about their thoughts on what constitutes ownership of a joke. This came to mind recently because I went to a show and somebody came up to me after the show and was like, "Hey, I feel like I've heard that bit about vanilla extract before." And I was like, "That's really weird because that is a personal story of my experiences making vanilla extract and being robbed." Ever something like that comes up for a comedian, it immediately puts us in a really weird and uncomfortable position because it's like, oh my God, what if I mistakenly gleaned something from another comedian and now I'm purporting it to be my own? Or if somebody has less empathy, what if, oh, that person's gonna call me out on the fact that I stole this? In my interviews with those 40 comedians, I learned a lot of comedians had different perspectives of what constituted ownership of a joke based on when they started doing comedy. Older comedians had a mentality that was based in the 70s, 80s, and 90s that if you were the first one to get the joke on TV, then it became your joke. With the newer comedians, it was, well, if I get it on to the internet first, then I create ownership of it. But then it becomes, what about those jokes that you develop over the course of years? You put in new tags, you put in different perspective. Does that original idea that you put online remain yours? It became a really big and contentious point between the comedians that I was talking to. Because unlike instances in more traditional law like copyright law, these disputes are not handled in a court of law, are dealt with person to person in different rooms and through word of mouth. Also, oftentimes on the internet when somebody gets called out. How do you end up resolving these sorts of disputes? It's very often, hey, let me show you this clip that I posted 2 years ago and we'll compare it to what you did tonight. The comedians I found that got most upset with joke theft and the ones that were most primed for it to happen to were the ones that were posting consistently on social media based around politics or based around popular culture. I'm sure you've seen it where people have posted effectively the same joke in response to something that is happening. Those are instances of parallel thinking. The main takeaway from all the interviews and all the research, all the writing that I did was the most effective way to prevent joke theft in comedy is to make things as personal and connected to yourself and your experience as possible. But when somebody was like, hey, I've heard that vanilla extract bit before, I was like, is somebody stealing my hyper specific experience and purporting it to be their own? Turns out we had just been on the same show together a couple months back.